and welcome to Rudis Props episode number 1. Yeah, finally we are in the long announced first episode of Rudis Props, and honestly it's been a while since I've announced that, and it took longer than I expected, but you know what, I'll still take the excuse of I'm still setting up everything, which is totally true, but it starts to play a bit out, I should say. Like the changes I did really seem to work out. It seems that you guys start commenting more, which I totally love, and also everything else seems to work just well with the new layout and, you know, the new series and stuff, and how it's all layout. So I thought it would be time to actually do the first episode of Rudis Props. And for those of you who've been watching all the Camel Kingdom Arabian videos will already know what this is about. I've taken all your suggestions in the comments below there. Unfortunately, I couldn't realize too many of those because reasons, which we'll definitely gonna talk about in this episode. And yeah, you will already be able to tell from the title of this video that this is all about foliage and custom plants and stuff. Like, I think we all agree on the fact that Planet Coaster's foliage, which is in the game, is amazing. It's really well done. Most of the foliage pieces are very nicely detailed, and they even move in the wind. And all the other props are also very nice, but there is a big lack of foliage, especially smaller and very genuine one, or generic ones, which you can really use alongside path and alongside little garden areas, and in little garden areas, I should say, and just in general some plants you can also put in pots and planters. So I thought, okay, let's give it a shot and try a little bit around what we'd be able to do. And starting off, you've made me see me doing a little flower bed, which isn't that special, but now we come to something which is more special, and I try to talk about all the creations a little bit more in detail, what I thought about doing them. So this one, and you can see I used the cowboy next to it to just see which the size is, and I think this one is pretty neat. Also the next ones I'm doing are kind of like planter plants. I wanted to try around a little bit with those sea lilies. I believe it worked out pretty well also with these little things, which is totally stolen from Silverit's Asian or Japanese inspired park he made, but all the other ones are custom made and basing on own ideas, I would say. But you can see you can take those. I will release that all in the workshop, so you can all use them as you like, because it's basically pretty much there for everybody to use. I will set up the pieces so you can move them along in the park. They will be all in one building, not, you know, each foliage piece will have one building, so you can move them and copy them very easily around. Like the first three, you can see this one is a more colorful one. I wanted to do something like a magnolia, but yeah, well, since we are not able to color the lower part, like the green part of it, it doesn't really work out. But I thought it still looks kind of cool, so I kept it. I'm not quite sure which kind of plant that is, but I am quite sure you can use this. Also, you can see now I'm doing some very generic little trees, which also Goodleful was mentioning this in Discord already. We are also not sold on the trunk, but this is the only trunk we can really use for this one. I tried a little bit around off screen with different versions afterwards, but honestly there's not that much of good things to do it else. So I thought, okay, give it a shot and do some generic ones as we had in Rollercoaster Tycoon 1, where you can actually recolor the little pieces in between. So if you want to give them some different colors, just jump in, select a few of those and change the color, so you can make some apple trees or some, you know, different kind of trees. Also this one is a pretty simple one. I just thought this, I don't even know what that kind of tree is, but it's, you know, it's a little bit more desert looking, and well, yeah, it kind of worked out pretty well in the end. I just made sure to move and rotate them all slightly so that it looks a little bit more natural. But well, now we are coming to the very first special one, and I'm quite happy about this one, to be honest, because it does move in the wind. I used the bamboo to achieve a kind of new tree with a new green in it, and also where we have some custom trunks going on. And for this one, I actually like how the trunk works. Also the shape of the tree, and also was inspired by the classic Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you had this kind of green tree. I used this one very much, and so I thought, okay, let's do it again. It's not like an oak tree or something, or a pine or whatsoever. It's just a very generic tree, maybe even hazel. Well, no, not really actually. It's kind of a bamboo hybrid tree. I have no idea how to call that one, but I think it's a pretty nice addition to the park. I also wanted always to make sure it isn't two-piece heavy, because you know, you could do fancy stuff, but if you copy it around in your park too often, it will definitely hurt your FPS, and so that it is usable for everybody, I just wanted to make sure just to drop in everything in a lower piece count than I actually would do, even though I have to say it worked out pretty nicely the way I did it, so there is maybe not that big of a reason to use more pieces than I actually used, but well, never mind. So yeah, after having done the little tree over there, which you have seen with the bamboo, I started to go into some more planter stuff based once again. This one is also, I think, a nice kind of hybrid thing between those pretty nice new adventure leaves and the cacti, I believe it is, because this had really nice little nosps, or how you even call them, the little reddish things. I think the biggest problem is that we don't have that small pieces to use actually to make some tiny little flowers with their leaves and stuff. We just have those two flower pieces, which, well, yeah, they are just very specific in their kind of way, so that you can't really use them in different ways. So because like the smallest pieces we have for flowers is just a flat flower piece, and the one with those sticking out ones, which are looking like a, you know, colored leaf, as you can see next to the cowboy on the left hand side, the yellow one. Yeah, it's just maybe a little bit, yeah, it's not generic enough to use it for different purposes than it is actually meant to be used for. So I needed to go with some new ideas, and I believe this is what we are getting to right now. The thing is, I'm just commenting this one now on a kind of high speed. I sped it up by 8 times, and it's a little bit hard to follow. I wanted to make that slower, but then the episode would be too long, and I wanted to just show you the process of doing the foliage. You will get some more shots in the end of those things in detail, but you can see now I am gathering some more pieces from all the other assets to make sure that I have some more options. The thing is, those pieces are all not moving in general, so I searched also for some moving pieces, because you know, as I said at the very beginning of this episode, the biggest plus, or the biggest pro on the Foliage and Planet Coaster is their lovely animation. They are moving slightly in the wind. It's so nicely done. All the leaves are animated, and using too many static pieces will definitely take away some of the beauty of those things. So I actually try to, as long as it's possible, to stick with some movement. Yeah, it doesn't really work out, so I needed to go with those spooky trousers, or whatsoever this is. How they even called, I have no idea. But I figured that painting them in green and putting them the different way around makes it look like a little bit more like, I don't know, a gigantic cacti thingy, or I don't know, it's something like this. You would also be able to buy at IKEA, I believe. And I used those very ugly, what's even the name in English? I don't have these ugly moving little things, which effectively could be a butterfly someday, but I think in this case they will stick that ugly. Anyways, let's not talk about those ugly things. So I decided to go with the candy cane to try to make some different leaves. I ended up using those new smaragd thingies, or emerald thingies, which do look good, but still they are too big. So what I really ended up with is this little VFX, and it turned out to work pretty good. I actually have no clue how I got even to use them, but I figured this could be a good idea, and the only issue was that I always had to you know, use a sequencer to make them disabled, because otherwise, yeah, the whole plant would be a fire plant in that way. We don't need that. This will definitely hurt your FPS like hell, and I needed to make sure if I do a blueprint and you place that in your parks, it doesn't, you know, play from the beginning, because then you would have to do that all on your own, which would be pretty annoying, I guess. So I made sure to use the sequencer to make them stop playing and make them activated by trigger and delete the trigger. So yeah, but as you can see, it turns out that we actually can use this plant very nicely as addition to an existing flower bed potentially, but also to give a little bit more depth in your flower beds, because this is something we are totally missing right now. Like, either way, you have bigger plants, like bushes and I don't know, bigger leaf plants and bigger leaf trees, or just like those gigantic oak trees and stuff, or you have the really flat flower beds. There is not that much in between, right? I mean, like simple flowers or stuff which have a little bit of a beautiful thing coming out of it, in different colors, in different heights, in different thicknesses and stuff. They are totally missing. Like, they're either way, it's totally flat or it's too high. But in between, there's, you know, you can just do this with those little flower thingies. But as I said, you are pretty much, yeah, you're forced to use the only one you have in the game. And so, in the end, it's always, you know, it always looks beautiful, no matter. There's no question about that. But I am just, you know, I just wanted to have some generic ones I can use, maybe not too often, but to put in some details. And this is what those plants are made for, to give a little bit of variety to your existing ones, or maybe to create some newer ones. Those are definitely no pieces to copy a million times around and create a new kind of little flower bed out of them, because that will look somehow bad, because it's not actual foliage in the game, and it will also take away a little bit of the beauty of the foliage. But I guess they pretty much work as simple additions to it, and I think that hopefully this helps a lot. Also, I'm trying to make like a little cotton plant over here, but yeah, well, this is basically all about I can say about my ideas behind those plans. So we will now do some very neat smaller ones in the end, which I'm very proud of, I have to say. I also tried around a little bit with those spooky wing thingies, but they're too big. So like it looks kind of neat the way I wanted it to look, but it's way too big. Like, if I'm ever doing a kind of Avatar themed Pandora theme, and this is also very strangely looking, so I just did it this way because it was funny. But anyways, yeah, if I'm ever going to do some yeah, Pandora themed things, those bigger wings could actually help to make some beautiful looking bigger flowers. But anyways, now as you can see, as I said, the carrot is a beautiful piece to actually make this little flower, which I have made now over here. And I think this is one of the best things I created in the entire episode, because it's simple, it's small. I only wish we could recolor the carrot. That would be like the best thing, because then you could make this one suitable for like every color available. And I also wanted to make another one, so I decided to go for a whitish one. I also like this one. I made these out of the little bone pieces, and there will be also a last one, which honestly, I think that's the best one, because it came out surprisingly well, even though I didn't have the idea that it would work out. But you know, those skeleton hands are pretty handy. I'm sorry, to make an actual nice looking flower out of them. So yeah, that's already about it from my side. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and now my question is, for the next episode of Rudis Props, what do you want to see? Like, give me a topic, give me something you really want to have. Do you want to have wall assets? Do you want to have, I don't know, pieces for custom lanterns or lampposts or whatsoever? Just drop it down in the comments below and tell me if you like to have this or this or this or whatsoever, so I can see what I do in the next episode. And as always, if you liked that video, give it a hoof 5. It's simply hitting the like button. And well, if you enjoy the content and want to see more of it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does help me out, I'm not gonna lie. And this should be it all about the social responsibilities, to say this weird stuff. I hope you guys out there will have a lovely day, and yeah, well, see you in the next video. Bye bye, guys.